Drones will not be releasing as part of the Apollo launch. We'll rip that band-aid off now.
Hey citizens, welcome. I've had a chance to run around the verse with the Apollo and the PTU, and I want to talk a bit about this ship and how it will fit into Star Citizen today with the current state of medical gameplay. Let's start with the elephant in the room first, the drone situation. In a recent episode of Star Citizen Live, John Crew had this to say when the topic of drones came up.
Since we have revealed that the Apollo is coming next month, how are drones such as repair and medical coming along?
Cool. It's the drones question.
It's the drones question.
So drones are being developed as part of base building. Obviously, the Apollo is coming next month.
So
means
base building is coming next month.
That's not what it means. Or someone in chat says that. Drones will not be releasing as part of the Apollo launch. We'll rip that band-aid off now. When we were developing the ship, obviously the Apollo, I want to say it was 2017 originally concepted.
17 or 18.
17 or 18. The idea of medical gameplay then is very different to the idea of medical gameplay now.
This is something that's very apparent about the current state of medical gameplay. When the Apollo was first concepted, there was very little to actually do in the verse. So the idea was still very much conceptual. There were ideas that players might be floating out in space somewhere with Tier 1 injuries, waiting for a medic to show up in their Apollo, grab a patient with their drones as they carefully treat each wound. As much as this sounds like a dream for medical players, the inherent problem with this is that players don't want to sit around waiting for a rescue for a half hour while they just sit and stare at their incapacitated body. Medical has evolved into usually getting healed via medgun, but treating wounds and respawning in medbeds matches the current pace of the game.
The drones was this sort of grey area. They said they would do one thing in the concept. That sort of doesn't really apply in the game loop we have now for medical.
He's absolutely right that it no longer applies. The drone gameplay sounded very cool in concept, but also very ambitious. For context, here's how the drones were initially supposed to work for the Apollo, according to John Crew in 2018.
They go in the bottom of the ship and they sort of get filtered to the underside of the beds, and the drone attaches onto the underside of the beds, and they come up through the beds, and the beds all sort of open up to take them, and then the drone goes back down, leaves them on the bed, so it sort of makes a nice seal to put them in this sort of healing bed, and then they can go off and do it again. Obviously, if you've got 6 beds, you can fill it up with 6 people. You only get 2 drones with it, and they are just for that. It's not like the Vulcan's drones that you can repurpose into doing other things. They are purely for capturing and rescuing bodies.
So we know they're working on drone gameplay for base building, which could someday translate to medical drones. But there's a few problems with the Apollo not launching with its drone gameplay. First off, if we do get the medical drone gameplay added back in at some point, it doesn't make sense to have them operate the way they were initially intended, as we've established that medical gameplay has changed. Second, they would have to either modify the medbeds in the Apollo to work with the drones the way they were envisioned, or we would need an alternative way to use the drones that would be effective with current medical gameplay. And lastly, the Apollo was marketed as a medical ship that stands out from the rest, namely because of its drones. It was the discerning feature of the ship that many of us were looking forward to. I know CIG reserves the right to make changes, but it feels wrong to not get an equivalent feature that will compensate the lack of drones. Jared did extend an olive branch to the community in the form of free Apollo modules for the various bed tiers, but I'm hoping this is not what they're considering a fair alternative. This is what he said.
Because the Apollo is launching next month without the drone gameplay, we are going to do something else. We mentioned those modular bays that the Apollo has. The left and right Tier 1 bed, the left and right double Tier 2 beds, the left and right 3 Tier 3 beds. In the past, when we've added modules to ships like the Retaliator and whatnot, we have sold those modules individually. We are not going to do that with the Apollo. So I'm here to tell you now we are going to include all 6 modules for free on every Apollo SKU. So if you already own the Apollo, you've got it already in your account, we are going to retroactively inject those into all of your existing items on the My Hangar app on your website. So if you have the Apollo now, you're going to get all 6. If you purchase the Apollo when it comes out in September or at any point from now on, it's not like a limited time thing. If you purchase the Apollo from any point from now on, it will come with all 6 bays. So that's just one of those things. We were just looking at it, and it's like for all the reasons John said, absolutely completely valid about not including the drones at this time. We still felt there was something more we could do to kind of ease that switch over. So this is what we're going to do.
The takeaway is that we probably won't see medical drones for the Apollo anytime soon. And if we do, they probably will behave vastly different than they were initially intended. But if we're truly never getting medical drones, I think CIG should officially acknowledge the moment they make that decision and commit to a reasonable alternative, even if it's different. We need some sort of unique medical gameplay for the Apollo. There's all sorts of things they could do. They could add a tractor beam and entryway to grab downed players from the pilot seat, which would essentially represent the same function as the drones. As we see more instanced FPS locations like the contested zones and Onyx facilities, the needs of medical care in Star Citizen continues to change. The Apollo could be the first medical ship to craft special medical pens out of rare materials that would heal Tier 2 and 3 injuries. I think the Apollo is a fantastic ship, and it holds a ton of potential for future gameplay loops. I don't want to come across as overly negative about it, but I think the drone discussion is important. I promise I have a lot of positive things to say about it. I will definitely be using this ship frequently in the near future. There's some other Apollo topics I want to get into, but I'll probably save those for another video. But how do you feel about the way CIG handled the drone situation? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video, feel free to like and subscribe. Or don't. You're welcome all the same. And with that, I'll see you in the next one, citizens.